We ask you to open our hearts this evening and the rest of our lives to all those we come across, that we may see them differently. We may see them the way you see them. We ask especially for the intercession of our mother, Mary, as she guides us and she gives us a heart of a true Christian. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. The Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I came across this book in all of my immaturity when I was working with the Companions of Christ and working with a certain Father Evan Koop. He's a wonderful priest for the Archdiocese. He's studying in Rome right now. I love Father Evan Koop. But there was a time that we did not like each other very much. We were in charge of summer household with the Companions, and what that entailed was being in charge of 30 different men that lived with us for the summer. So seminarians and people potentially discerning to be in the priesthood, they lived with us for the entire summer, and we were in charge of meals and shopping and cleaning and organizing college boys. You get in the picture here? Yeah. It was ugly. It was chaotic. And we had very different temperaments. Okay? We were very different. We organized our lives differently. We saw things differently. And we got things done differently. And if you've been around enough people long enough, you will know that annoyed the heck out of both of us. I was annoying to him, and he was annoying to me. And, oh man, it was just, I could tell stories until the night's over. But we read this book together. It was assigned reading. Wonderful thing about community, assigned reading. Yeah, we had to read this book. It was part of the summer reading. So we read this book and we thought, whoa, great. A book about a bunch of nuns and how they're going to be friends. This is going to be so great. We read it and it completely changed the way I saw my brother. And it completely changed the way I saw all other friends the rest of my life. It completely changed the way I see people, just in general. So if you haven't gotten this book already, I highly, highly recommend it. I couldn't recommend it anymore. It's a wonderful book on it says the art of Christian friendship, but this is really just the art of loving. It's a really wonderful book. So I couldn't recommend it more. There's three things I want to talk about tonight. The first is our need for Christian friendship. Our need for Christian friendship. And then the second two are going to be the first two chapters of this book. A focus on the word respect, and it's not what you're thinking. And a focus on the word love, and it might be what you're thinking. Okay? So the first thing is need. We need good friends, and we need really deep friendships. If you don't think this is true, let's just ponder what the words of Jesus. He said, "No greater love is there than this, that one lay down his life for a family member." No? No? Okay. No greater love is there than this, to lay down one's life for a sister. One's friends, right? But in our culture today, it kind of seems like friendship is, When I think of friends, I think of the show Friends. Okay? Maybe that dates me, whatever, I don't care. And I think of kind of like shallow, the second thing I think of is Facebook, right? Friend requests, right? To people that I haven't seen in like ever. Okay? And I think, well, they should really see what I'm saying every day, shouldn't they? And I want to see what they're saying every day, because that's real friendship, right? Okay? Our idea of friendship is kind of watered down. It's cheapened. Okay? The second thing Jesus says that blows your mind is at the Last Supper, he says, "I no longer call you servants, but I now call you friends." Now, most of us would think, and I say this when we talk to the men, I say, "I call you brothers." And that's kind of where we're at now at our culture. Family is like the epitome of love, you know? It's the epitome of love. But Jesus actually wants to show us the epitome of love, as he said earlier, is to lay down your life for a friend. And Jesus could have easily said, I no longer call you servants, but I call you brothers. And when we think, I mean, our first inclination is like, yeah, that's more powerful, isn't it? It's like a brother. You die for your brother, right? But love is really to lay down your life for a friend. And we'll get into why that is. Why did Jesus say that? So we do have to acknowledge our need. And the first thing I want to acknowledge is we're busy. We might go home tonight, or even halfway through this talk when you're getting a little bored, you might think, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to like everyone, for goodness sakes. I mean, just sounds exhausting. I gotta go to church and look at people and like them, and they're naturally annoying. They're different than me, okay? And as Mother Mary Frances will say in the book, they're annoying not because of anything wrong with them. They're just different. They're different. So the first thing is our need for friendship. We need friendship. We really need friendship. St. Thomas Aquinas and Aristotle will tell you, until the cows come home, friendship is one of the greatest gifts in our life. So the second thing is respect. And it's not R-E-S-P-E-C-T, okay? Respect, in the Latin phrase, means what? Latin scholars? Someone's read the book already, too, I'll bet. It means respectare, okay? And respectare means to look again. Yeah. What? To look again. So what does that mean? I look at my dear beloved friend, Father Evan Coop, and we're supposed to be at Holy Hour at 6 a.m., and he's not there. And my first reaction could be, probably was, my first reaction could be, what is his problem? 6 a.m., like, we're in charge. Hello, like, we're supposed to be early, right? Okay, this is the collar coming out of me, okay? The no holds barred, push everyone down leader, okay? 6 a.m., he's not there. My first reaction is, what's his problem? Okay, this also happens at other places. Maybe on the freeway, right? This happened to me today. This person, like, pulled right out in front of me and then moved over 2 lanes and got off. And I was like, what? Why? Why? And that's my first reaction, right? But respect means to look again. And as Mother Mary Frances said, if you read the book already, she says to look again and again and again and again and again. Because my first reaction is, what's their problem? Now, you might be the person that's late for the 6 a.m. holy hour and think, for me yelling at you when you got there late, what's their problem? Okay? You might also be the other person where after I honked at you, me, friendly honk, okay? Friendly honk, it wasn't like, I'm going to rear end you honk. Just like, hey, there's other people out here, honk, You might be that other person thinking, what's their problem? That's our first reaction, right? To look again means to look again and look at them and say, all right, I've done that before. And what happens when we do it? We have an excuse, right? It's like, well, I have a baby in the back and she's crying and I'm sorry I didn't see you. And you can't communicate that. I wish cars had you could think what you're saying and it would come up on a screen or something. I'm super sorry for cutting you off. I'm really late. My child is crying and just threw the milk at my face, But we don't get that. Our first reaction is, what's their problem? And that happens all the time when we meet people here at church. Okay? Someone dresses a little different. She makes this reference because they're living in a cloister, so that they're all dressing the same, they're, whatnot. But she makes the reference of, man, that voice annoys me, right? And you all laugh, right? Because you've heard that voice that's annoying. And you might be thinking that right now. His voice is annoying. I don't like it. That's our first reaction. Our second is, man, God gave them that voice, right? What happens if we just look once? What happens? Anyone? What happens if we just look once, Irene?
We judge.
We judge. We put them in a little box, and we can put them away and say, well, this person is that type of person. And we make an assumption about them based on what? Their voice? For goodness sakes. And we make this assumption, we make this crazy leap, as Mother Mary Frances says. We make this leap to say, I don't like that person. Whoa, that's damaging. That's pretty damaging. That's a barrier to friendship. So she says the very first thing of friendship is I have to look again and again and again and again. Because everyone's different. Everyone has beautiful gifts. Okay? As the men's group, we just talked about temperaments. And I was telling Father Erickson, if we didn't have all the temperaments, we wouldn't have a lot of stuff in this world. Okay? I'm a choleric, so I think, we rule the world and we built the world, right? Okay? But if the whole world was cholerics, we wouldn't have poetry, we wouldn't have a lot of stuff. And if everyone was a melancholic, we wouldn't have, buildings and other things. And if everyone was a sanguine, life would just be a party. Okay? And if everyone was phlegmatic, nothing would happen. Okay, obviously that's a caricature of all the temperaments. But there's blessings and gifts of all of these things. One of my favorite authors is Jean Vanier. He's a leader of these communities called, I forget what they're called. L'Arche, yeah, thank you. I knew you came for a reason, thank you. So he's written a number of books on community life, and they're powerful. If you've read any or you're thinking about reading them, they're powerful, they're very convicting. So he lives with people with severe mental disabilities, and they just love them. And he said, I'll read this quote here, we can talk about it later. To love someone is not, first of all, to do things for them, but to reveal to them their beauty and value. To say to them through our attitude, you are beautiful, you are important, I trust you, you can trust yourself. To love someone is to reveal to them their capacity for life, the light that is shining in them. So our ability to look again can completely change our view of someone else. Instead of putting them in a box, making assumptions and judgments, and kind of dismissing them and putting them to the side. And you all laughed because we've all done it. It's so easy to do. It's a part of our fallen nature. It's so easy to do. So I highly recommend some of these other quotes by Mother Mary Frances. They're hilarious. She's talking about these sisters, and like you said, someone's voice annoying you. So our next inclination is we really want to get to know these people, and we want to love them. So we have to acknowledge our need for friendship. We have to understand that people are different. And a wonderful quote that Mother Mary Frances says here by Charles Lamb, one of her favorite authors. He says, you cannot dislike someone you really know. Teresa, come on. You can't dislike someone you really know. If we're able to just put someone in a box not only do we cut them off, we cut ourselves off as well. We cut ourselves off from them in our ability to love and our ability to allow them to love us as well. And we can't really dislike someone, and I really believe what he says here. You cannot dislike someone you really know. Get to know them. Get to know people. The number one thing for Christian friendship is to look again and to get to know them. And this has got to be incarnate. Okay, this cannot be Facebook. This cannot be text messaging or whatever else. One of the beautiful things she says also at the very beginning of the book is that the cloister, the monastery, has to be the pattern or the model of Christian friendship. And I think we can make the argument that the Catholic Church or the parish ought to be that pattern and that model for Christian friendship as well. When people come into this church, we should have hearts that look more than once. It's so easy to just look once and just dismiss and say, the way they dressed, the way they walked, the way their hair was. And then we can think again and think, I have those days too, don't I? And how would it feel if someone judged me that way? The last thing is love. She has this phrase that got a lot of traction in the companion's house. To love someone, and we called it this way. She doesn't say it. She says, love others into lovableness. It sounds like, okay, geez, sounds like tolerance, right? In the companion's house, we said love others into lovability. Okay? And the principle for this one is very simple. We have to know we're loved. We have to know we're loved. We are lovable in the measure that we're loved. Most of us think it's the opposite way around. I have to kind of mold who I am to make myself lovable to other people. I have to be this person to this group of people, and I have to be this person to this group of people, and I have to be this person to this group of people. And I don't want to point any fingers, but this happens a lot more with the ladies than it does with the guys. Okay? It's just true. It's just real. And it's so much easier to just either be the chameleon or to not even open yourself up. Because in order to be vulnerable, I have to know that I'm going to be loved. And if I don't know that, I'm not going to be vulnerable. And then I have two options. I can fake it, or I just stay away. And both of them are not good. Neither of them are good. So we have to love others into lovability. Now, what does this mean? Okay? You've all heard the phrase, love is blind. And Mother Mary Frances, she doesn't say it exactly that way. But she really does. She talks about one of her friends that she really, really loved and she thought was beautiful. And she was talking about her one day, and her mom kind of made a side comment about how she wasn't very pretty. And Mother Mary Frances was kind of shocked and scandalized almost, because for one, how dare she say that my friend, who I think is very beautiful, how dare she say that? And two, she thought, what is she looking at? She's beautiful, you know? But she realized later, her mom was just making an observation of the outside picture. She didn't know her. Like Charles Lamb said, she didn't know her, so she didn't love her. And once we love that person, their foibles and all their other quirks, love's not completely blind, but we look over some of those things. We look over some of those things because love conquers all. And it really should, and it really ought to. And it really does. So we love each other into lovability. Love changes how we see others. I cannot be fully myself unless I am loved. If I go home and I know I'm not going to be loved, like I said, we have two options. I'm either going to hide or I'm just going to be someone else. And how many times I think we see this, especially in our young people, but I think if we look in the mirror, we see it in ourselves in various places and with various people. I play this person or that person to other people, and I play this person or that person to other people. But also, let's reflect on how my reaction paints the picture of how that person reacts. When someone comes up to me and maybe they're wearing something I would never wear to church ever. I'm sure that's never happened to any of you. They're wearing something that I would never wear to church. They're driving a car that I think is ridiculous. They have a house that I think is too expensive. And they say something to me and I kind of brush them off. Because I've not respected them. I haven't looked again. And I haven't opened my heart up to loving them. It's a twofold response. I'm not loving them into lovability, and they're going to go hide and run away. We can't have true Christian friendship unless they can be themselves. And themselves is different than me. That was the biggest revelation for me from this book. And it sounds silly, because maybe I was just super immature when I first read it. But I think more and more if we just look in the mirror and think about our lives and think about our days and think about how we react to people, it happens all the time. I can easily say that that person's this and this person's this, and I move on. But I challenge us tonight and in the upcoming weeks to allow this parish to become a place of true Christian friendship. Now, this isn't like weird, okay? Please don't come up to every single person and, whatever picture you're painting here. Allow this to take some time. The last thing I want to say is you have to be patient with yourself. You have to be patient with yourself. We have these things that we've done for quite a long time, and we have to be patient with ourselves and how we react and how others are going to react to us. Not everyone's read this book. Not everyone knows how to love very well. But I love this quote from Jean Vanier. We have to, love is helping them to reveal the goodness and beauty in them. And you can do that in a lot of ways. Our first reaction as a friend, and let's all just do this quick exercise. Our first reaction as a friend, think of a friend we have and think of all the things that they could do better to make our friendship, stay with me here. Think of all the things they could do better to make our friendship better. They could maybe answer the phone when I call. They could text a little nicer. They could wear nicer clothes when we go to Applebee's. I mean, you laugh because it's silly, but it's true sometimes, isn't it? It's true. So we need to acknowledge our need for Christian friendship. This is outside of the family, okay? And if you don't think you have time, you got to make time. And I don't know what it looks like, and that's what you have to figure out. You have to make time to develop true Christian friends. And I can say the companions the men that I had brotherhood with, friendship with, I love them as much as I could love my own brother. Some days more. Okay? Because I don't see him as often. But because we went through this together, and sometimes you'll find, I found, that the ones that maybe annoyed me the most can be my closest friends. The ones that I thought, gosh, man, what's the deal? What is your deal? They became my closest friends. Because we got past all the gibberish, and we got past all the garbage and all the personal sin, let's just call it what it is. We got past all that, and we're allowed to love each other and acknowledge each other's gifts. It's so beautiful when friends can acknowledge each other's gifts. So one of my challenges for you tonight, you have some questions here at your table, but one of my challenges tonight, out of the two challenges, is to think about the way you honor each other for birthdays. Okay? This is a sticking point for me. Aaron knows it. I hate birthdays. I hate the birthday song. Okay? I think it's just cheesy. Whatever. You can all sing it. I'll sing along. But one beautiful thing we did as companions, and this was like amazing, life-changing thing for me. One of the beautiful things we did as companions was we honored each other for our birthdays. And this was not a thing where it's like, well, brother, I really love you because you're like 6'5" and you're really good at basketball, and no, okay? We honored each other for virtue. A virtue we saw in each other. And you can start this in your families, but you can also start this with your friends, okay? And you can even do it on Facebook. You know how Facebook tells you the birthday that's coming up? You can say, I want to honor you, sister, for this virtue. I've seen this in the last year, in the last 5 years. I really want to honor you and thank the Lord that you have this virtue. And you'll find you'll start honoring them for things that, man, you don't have, and you see it as a gift from God because you don't have it. God's created us all different because we need different gifts. We need different gifts to build up the church. The second thing is, take to prayer this week. How does God see me? How does God see my sisters? And how can I see them the same way? How can I start to see my sisters, my friends, the way God sees them? Because that'll completely change the way I see them afterwards. Thank you very much.